Great morning, great morning, great morning. I hope how's everyone's morning so far? How has everyone's day been so far? Let me know in the chat box. So today's Wednesday, as you may know. We've got a great guest for you guys that'll be coming on pretty soon, as well as a great quote. So let's see. I see all of the good mornings coming in. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, Peggy. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Nancy. All right, Jenny, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you as well. I'm actually pumped up. I actually literally just left the gym maybe about a half hour ago. So my endorphins are still running. I got this energy that's running still. Richard, good to see you as well. Who else? We got David, James, good to see you. All right, Nancy, Margie. My aunt's name is Margie, actually. She's having her 80th birthday coming up in July. So my dad's sister, 80 years old, she's coming up on. So very cool. Now, who else do we have? Cynthia. We've got Felicia. We've got Sally. Good morning, good morning, good morning as well. I'm going to mute someone out. I see someone who's unmuted here. Let me go in and unmute you. All right. So quick question for you. And I posted this before we jump into this thing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the introduction and then I'll share my question with you. And I'm very curious as to the answer. I posted this on Facebook this morning and it's been crickets. I haven't seen much of a response yet so far. So I'm curious to see what your responses are as well. Right. So I'm going to stop this and then I'll start the recording and then we go. All right. So, hey, welcome to the Monday Morning Meetup. My name is Ty Cohen, where I also do this show with my great co-host, Caroline Trainer. And our goal, our mission is to bring you the best information as well as the best guest as our guest today so that we can help you to take your life, your business, and all other areas of your life to the next level as much as possible. All right. So our quote for today, I'm going to grab our quote for today. This is one that I actually shared with our kids. And this is a quote by John C. Maxwell, right? And it says, the greatest mistake that we make is living in constant fear that we will make one. The greatest mistake that we make is living in constant fear that we will make a mistake, right? And I think that holds true for almost every single person that's here, right? How many people have been kind of afraid to move forward because you think that you'll make a mistake? I know for myself, we were talking about when I first quit my job at Walgreens, and I just posted that in the chat box on Monday. You know, one of the biggest mistakes that I thought I could make is just hearing everyone say, look, I told you so, right? And actually, a few people were right. When I quit, if you guys were here on Monday, what was one of the first things that happened to me after I quit my job at Walgreens? You guys remember that? I had a new baby, right? She was 3 months old. That's right, Dr. Tiny. I got sick. And I got really sick. And I racked up like $18,000 worth of medical bills. And this is right, all hell broke loose. My car got repossessed, right? So it's just like this challenge after challenge after challenge. And this was right after my mom and all of the other adults in my life were telling me, look, don't quit this job. You're fully vested in the stock sharing program. You have insurance. They like you there. You've been there for 10 years. And here I am. I'm going out on a limb and I'm thinking, look, there's got to be more to this. I like the job. I like the people, except for that one person. You guys remember I said her name was Miss Jerry Press. One person I didn't like, my supervisor. I love the customers, like I love the other people that I was working with, but I also knew that there was more there for me, right? So I ended up going out on a limb and first baby, didn't have the health insurance, didn't have much money, was trying to figure this business thing out, and all hell broke loose, right? All hell broke loose. And now look, I could have easily gone back to Walgreens because again, they did like me. I didn't leave on bad terms or anything like that. They actually did not want me to leave. So I could have actually gone back and said, look, guys, I was joking. When I said I'm resigning, that was a joke. I was just saying if you guys like comedy, right? And went back. but I had to stick it out, and it's actually been one of the best moves that I made, right? It's actually been one of the best moves that I make. So there's going to be these moments where you have things that are happening to you and you are just like uncertain as to if this is reality or if this is something that you should push forward on. If this is something that you should move forward and test who you can potentially be. Because the individuals that are watching me right now, that are on right now, you have so much more potential in you. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care how old you are. You have so much more in you right now than you could ever imagine. I also talked about on Monday how and Caroline was talking about this as well, how I literally feel like a totally different person than the individual that I was when I quit Walgreens. Totally feel like a different person. 100%. And I still believe that there's 10 or 20 more versions of different individuals within me that I have yet to even recognize yet. So I've been going to the gym earlier, waking up at 4:30, going to the gym and loving it. It's a totally different feeling now versus saying, I'm going to go at 5 o'clock. I'm going to go at 6 o'clock in the afternoon once I'm done with work. And then really battling with my mind to go at 5 or 6 o'clock because I'm like, okay, no. The other battle that I have is when I'm going at 4 o'clock, 4:30 is, look, it's the mind is crazy. All types of tricks it can play on you. Why would you get up and leave your wife in this nice warm bed? Why would you go outside when it's still dark outside? Why would you not wait? Why? All of these whys. So what I've learned to do is, just like with everything else in life that I've been able to be successful at, is prepare and condition my environment. Sweatpants, right in the bathroom. Socks, right in the bathroom. Everything, bottles of water right there. So I'm up and running. First thing in the morning. Literally takes me 7 minutes to be up and out. No shower. Shower is going to relax me. Shower is going to take me 3 or 4 minutes to turn the water on. I don't do cold showers. Cold showers are not good for people with sickle cell anemia. Can put you in a crisis. That extra 3 or 4 minutes is going to give me time to reason in my head as to why I should not do it, why I don't have to do it. Really don't have to go to the gym. And this applies to everything in business. The more you give yourself time to think about it, the less likely you're going to do anything. And it's as simple as that. The more you give yourself time to think about it, the less likely you're going to do anything, right? So I also, before we jump in, I want to share something with you guys. So we have an event that's coming up this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's called the Power of Accountability event. So it's going to be with myself and Noor Heshmi, who many of you guys know. She's on our sales team here. Noor, you may have gotten the chance to talk to her during one of the KCF Live events. This is going to be an event for anyone that is looking for more accountability in anything that you do. Whether it's, I was just talking about going to the gym, right? Being more accountable with going to the gym, being more accountable to yourself. As far as eating better, maybe if you guys know, I have been staying away from sugar for like the last, can you believe it's been like 6 months now? For like the last 6 months. Maybe you want to be more accountable for, as it relates to anything, writing. Maybe you want to be more consistent with writing, more consistent with publishing your book, maybe more consistent with working in your business. If you're someone who feels like you need to get unstuck, maybe you feel like you're someone who procrastinates like crazy. I feel like that sometimes. Maybe if you feel like you're someone who needs to get rid of self-doubt or get clear on your vision, or maybe developing like this story as to why you should do it, because we all have these stories and we have a story as to why we shouldn't do it. Hey, Ty, you don't need to go to the gym. Why? There's no reason why you need to go to the gym. Or the story as to why you should do it. Dude, get your ass up and go to the gym so that you increase your chances of living longer. You know it feels amazing when you leave the gym. and it's going to help you in your discipline. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Maybe you need to be more focused. So I'm going to give you guys a link, and this is a free event, so you can come in and you can register. The thing is, though, we're limited to 222 people. All right, so this is going to be on Zoom just like it is here. So you can register for this event. It's the accountability event, and it's this Saturday at 2 p.m. Caroline, so you came in.
Yo. You
day.
can have great day. Do you ever make sugar-free cookies?
Talking
about your sugar. I do for the kids. They're really nice.
You know what? I think I may have had them once or twice in my life, maybe. You know what? So here's the thing.
There's no commitment there then.
Yeah, I think if I go with a sugar-free cookie, I actually haven't thought about it. There's sugar-free pies that I have tasted before, because you guys are familiar with like the table talk pies, the little personal pies that you find in the grocery store?
Yeah.
Those were my weakness. Oh my God. I would buy 3 or 4 of them when we'd go grocery shopping. I'd buy all of them except for apple. Blueberry, I'd buy the lemon, I'd buy the cherry pie. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat one a day. I had my plan, one a day. And then I'd get to a point where I would eat one. And then I'm like, well, they're only $1. I can go and eat the other one. Oh my God, this one is amazing. I'm gonna heat the next one up. I would go in and I have a system, microwave the pies for 7 seconds because they taste even better when they're warm. And now, you know what, I've eaten 2 or 3 pies. So.
Oh no, it's not good. You see, you can get away with it because you're so slim, but what was it you saying about the letter B?
That's it.
Right. No one wants to look like a letter B.
Yeah, so when I get into control, it all goes to my stomach. And again, skinny guy with the stomach, you end up looking like— It looks
worse, doesn't it? You can't carry it off. Yeah.
Right. And I got that from my mom. Look at some of the things, so many things that we get from our parents and our grandparents and from our elders, right? My mom used to love the coffee cakes. She used to love the pies. She used to love like all of these things. And I remember as a kid, we would sit in the living room or at the kitchen table and eat these things. And so I carried that habit for, I gotta say, I carried that for probably about 40 years. And I never really even thought about it until a couple of months ago. Like, so what are some of the other things that we're carrying with us that we never even thought about? And we don't even know, right? It could be anything. It could be how we treat other people. It could be smoking or non-smoking. My mom was a compulsive smoker, so I always said, oh my God, I hate the smell. And it would get in her hair and turn her hair. And I'm like, I'm never smoking. Or just some people who had parents who smoked a lot. And because of that, they said, okay, I am smoking. Right? So.
Yeah. Or if you smoked and then you gave up, that's worse. You know, people like that are worse. They're awful. I'm that person. You know, I smoked when I was in my 20s, and I thought it was cool, you know. And so when I it started at uni, and now I just, you know, it's sort of like, oh yeah, but that person smokes. I think, don't do that. That's really judgmental. You can be worse when you used to smoke, you know, when you've given something up, you know, don't be judgmental. But yeah, and vaping, oh my goodness, no.
Well, we don't know what's in vaping, right? Because it's still so early. So those are conversations that I have with my kids. Look, you don't want to be the test dummy for something that's so new with this vaping stuff, because we just don't know the effects of it. My wife's cousin's father just got diagnosed with lung cancer, and he used to smoke. He smoked for, he's 80. He just had his 80th birthday a couple of months ago. So he smoked for 60 years.
60.
60 years. And, you know, great guy and everything else. And it's pretty, you know, so.
That's tough.
Yeah. And look, no one knows what's going to happen, right? There's people who have never smoked, never drank alcohol that can get liver cancer, right? So it's just the luck of the draw sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, my mum told me the other day that my great grandma, who lived till she was almost 100, I share this story all the time, you know, she missed 100 by a week. And she smoked for a period of her life, apparently, but she drank brandy every night. Not, I don't think like a bottle, but she'd have a few brandies every night. And she literally never, ever in her life went into hospital. All babies, she had 7 babies all at home years ago, you know, late 1800s, whatever it was. And then when she died at almost 100, she literally just went to bed after a couple of brandies and didn't wake up. I mean, talk about the perfect ending.
That's the way to go.
But you know, one of the things that made her different to other members of the family was her attitude. Her whole life, she was absolutely 100% certain she was going to live until she was 100. Her whole life, she was absolutely certain that there's nothing wrong with 2 shots of brandy a night, and there probably isn't. I don't want to get into that. And she had these beliefs, and she was the one person in the family. Her children weren't like that, because her daughter, my grandma, was not like this. But she had these beliefs that she's that, you know, life's just great all the time, and she had this great life. I mean, when she was in her 80s, she's in like the newspapers in this glamorous, with the pink hair, you know, the big jewelry and everything. So she was a very different character. And because she believed these things that actually theoretically weren't true, you know, she ate a really unhealthy diet. She was a little bit overweight, quite a bit overweight all her life. But she had this belief that she was always fit and healthy and she could eat whatever she wanted. And hey, you know,
I really think that that's the key to it. I really think that our belief has more to do with it than almost all of the other factors. I really believe that what we truly, not just saying it like, oh, I believe this, but then subconsciously you don't believe it. I really believe that the things that we deep down inside believe are, you know, look, we just have so much power in us that it is unexplainable sometimes.
Yeah, it is, and it's the same with business. You know, what do we believe to be true? If we believe we're doing a business, we believe in the model, and we work on the belief in ourselves, then you're going to make it. And our next guest, our guest today, is someone that came into this business with the belief that, well, of course I'm going to be successful, because you know, I'm successful at whatever I do in life. She didn't say this to me, but this is me thinking that's how she thinks, because she is super successful. And it's just going to be a process. So who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? What program do I need to get? What do I need to, you know, what action do I need to take? Incredible attitude. And it wouldn't matter if anything happened along the way. Last night in the fast pass training, we talked about obstacles, but it wouldn't matter to her what obstacles. Like, okay, it's an obstacle, no problem. Had loads of those in my life. I just pushed through that. And it's that attitude that makes her stand out the way she does, certainly in my world. You know, I see her as my sort of inner circle. Because she's just, I've never heard her be any different. You know, and she's faced lots of things in her life. And she is one of those people that just, whatever she does, she'll come in and she'll just have that mindset, whatever it is. So shall I bring her on?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
She's amazing. And I'm going to read her bio that I read out at the live event as well. So welcome, Andrea Cadelli, our very own Andrea from our community. I always get excited when we bring people on from the community. I know we've spoken today.
Yeah.
But how are you doing?
I am fantastic. What a great way to start out my day here with my KCF family. So I really appreciate the invite. Love being here with you and Ty, and just having the opportunity to share with my family.
It's 6 a.m. for you?
You are looking fantastic this morning. You can start my days with people that just have this glow that's going on.
Yeah, and you've been out walking the doggies, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, every day starts out with the dogs in the morning.
Nice. So that's the nature walk that sets you up for the day. Now, I know many of us know Andrea. Andrea's in our fast pass training. She's killing the business. Actually, you know, it's really, I don't know if you weren't on last night, I don't think, on the training, but no. I was mentioning you at different things. So whenever you listen to the replays, you're going to hear yourself And I was talking about the success that you've had in this business with only 2 series. And we were talking about rapid releasing and how if, you know, can you, and I remember we had a conversation, my gosh, if you're making that, can you imagine what you're making when you're releasing like, you know, every series every 6 weeks or whatever, you know, depending on the books. But I want to just read out your bio, and I am going to read it because I've screenshotted it from the live event on my phone. So Andrea is a former retail queen who traded in her corporate badge for a KDP account and hasn't looked back. After 20 years of leading teams at Walmart and Sam's Club, Andrea knows how to sell a story that keeps readers hooked. An unexpected layoff in 2017 opened the door for her to pursue her true calling as an author. She holds a Master's of Fine Arts in directing and loves to bring new stories to life on the page, stage, and big screen. So she owned her own theatre company.
Wow.
When she's not, I know I didn't know that. So
That makes sense.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, I get that now. When she's not working, you can find her raiding the clearance aisle in the garden centre or practicing her award-winning dance moves in the privacy of her own home. I feel a TikTok account coming on. Let's give her, and then, yeah, that's her. That's her. I know that I just read that out, but I just think it's really important to do that with people because we never know what they've done before. Was there life before KCF?
There was. Yeah, there was. You know, everything I have really approached in my life, I just give 100%. And, you know, I really look at all the different things I've done throughout my career, whether it was my theater company, I've done 2 feature-length films, just everything I throw myself into, I give 150% and try to learn and enjoy the journey. So
I noticed that about you because you do that with your personal life as well. Your partner, your animals, your downtime, your self-care, and that shows, doesn't it? That shows to me in the way you look. You always look great, and your attitude as well, and your vibe that you have that approach to everything that you do, and all the other, you know, all the important things in life, and you're hands-on with your family, aren't you, with your niece and nephew?
Very much. In fact, this Saturday, my niece is graduating from high school.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And, you know, her parents aren't there to help her. So I'm taking her to Tulsa for her high school graduation. So she's really excited. And I'm just excited to be able to be a part of that with her, you know, to celebrate and be a part of that success with her.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So,
Ty, you want to say something?
yeah, you have these different backgrounds, right? Theater, Walmart, you've done the feature films. Now you're helping with like your nieces and nephews. Do you feel like you've got multiple individuals within you, or that you've lived multiple lives?
I kind of do because I have a lot of interest. I loved working in corporate retail. I was in marketing, communications, change management, training and development, and I loved every bit of it. I loved all my film work, which is a totally different skill set, but I really feel like I have lived a lot of different lives. And it is really weird too, because I grew up with 2 younger brothers who are no longer with me. So it's like I started out as the oldest of 3 siblings, and now I'm an only sibling. So it does kind of tie to your point. It does kind of feel like, you know, I've lived multiple lives.
Yeah. You know, Christine,
different roles.
Yeah, that you love life. That is obvious. You guys ever see people look like Andrea or Lenny the Boss, right? You ever see people that just love life? Like they just look like they just love life. And I think that's the key to longevity as well. It's not, now, of course, right? Everyone has their ups and downs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, right, it's like, look, I'm smiling, I'm still here, I'm still standing, I'm still embracing life. And again, I think that's the key to longevity there. You know, don't ever lose that, Andrea. I don't think that you would ever lose that. But I think that is something that every single one of us, if we could sip from that bottle that you have of loving life, and we would definitely go in and take a sip from it.
And it's a good thing to say every morning. My children wake up in the morning and they open the curtains, they look out the window and they say, I love life. Life is great. here I go, you know, and that I sort of taught them that from when they were little. So they get up like robots. I love life. Life is great. No, I'm joking. And so they do that. And and even sometimes when things happen during the day, occasionally, you know, that sort of throw you off whack, then they'll say, but life is good, you know, life is great, or this has just happened at school or whatever, but life is great. So that in itself will set them up for when adversity comes in, you know, the things we can't control, when people close to us depart, and different pieces of contrast, then if we've got that mantra, okay, initially, if you lose somebody, you can't really get there. But after a while, then you can get back to that love of life and appreciation of life. That's so crucial, isn't it?
It really is.
It really is.
My grandmother used to have this saying, and I loved it. She said, because she lived a really hard life in Italy. In fact, I want to write the book of my grandparents' life, because their story is unfreaking believable, epic movie kind of story in Italy. But she went through a lot of hardships growing up and told me those stories growing up of just how she overcame a lot of really things that would be hard for us to even imagine. Okay, during World War I, the things that she endured would be hard for us to imagine going through something like that. But she said when she was little that she would always say to herself, when she was going through something really difficult, she would say, this is one moment in a very great life. This is one moment in a very great life. And I thought, gosh, you know, that's really true. I mean, we all have things that happen to us, unexpected. Ty, for you, a lot of it was your sickle cell anemia, you know, your illness, you're losing your, you know, quitting your job. We all have those things that we have to figure out a way to overcome, but we just have to remind ourselves it's one moment in a very great life and find our way back to that.
It can feel like it's because we're in the moment, during that moment, it feels like forever, and it feels like it's permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so she would remind herself that it was just one moment in a very great life. And I just thought, God, that's a great mantra to carry around.
That's a great mantra. And that's one that I've been discussing with my eldest, who's going through some problems at them, not problems with her, but she's going through some heartbreak at the moment. I said, you got to think about you 3 years ago. Were you happy? And we just like tracked the sort of stuff she was doing. And we said, this is you're going to live like over 100 years. So this is just like one moment of time. It's not a waste of time. And we were saying, you know, it's just, that's so powerful. I mean, in business as well, you know, if we're just building and it's not going as quickly as we want, or something happens, or, you know, Facebook account gets restricted, which can happen to people, things like that, then you just think, okay, well, this is just one moment in this beautiful business that I'm building. If it was that easy, do you know, if it was that easy, hardly any work, just got there and it all came in, sounds great. We'd all love that for a week. But long term, I bet you that wouldn't necessarily make us happier. It's because of the journey to get there, isn't it? The learning and the things that come in along the way, and the personal growth and all those things. But yeah, that's a great mantra, isn't it? It's just one moment in life.
Yeah, one moment.
One moment. Yeah. We've got a quote as well, haven't we?
We do. We do.
I'll do one and then you can do one as we're talking, actually, because what we wanted to talk about as well today is we wanted to talk about business. And we've already said, you know, attitude is everything. It really, really is in everything in life. But we've been talking quite a lot in business about focusing on the core main things, and I'm doing this at the moment. So I think I've stolen this saying from somewhere, but I always say, just keep the main thing, because it's so easy to go off and get sidetracked. And Andrea helped me on a fast pass call a little bit ago, a few months ago, and we were doing I think we've actually done this on the MMM, a stop, start, continue process, where, you know, what do you need to stop doing, start doing, and continue doing? But also what we discussed in that session was the importance on keeping on just the key core main things in business. And one of the quotes that actually Andrea sent me this quote, which I love, and I know you've got one as well. So it's a David Allen quote, who's a productivity consultant, and it's, much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they started. So much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they started. David Allen, who's a productivity consultant. So this is when, you know, you go off and do different things that you don't necessarily need to be doing right now in the business, would you say?
Yeah. And there's actually a part of the brain, and I think it's called the Zeigarnik effect, but your brain, there's a part of your brain that doesn't like unfinished things.
Yeah.
And so if you leave things that you've started unfinished, that part of your brain will nag you, and it eventually create some anxiety, because that part of your brain wants to see that thing completed.
Wow. Yeah.
So true. When I first started studying marketing back in my early 20s, I learned about that.
Yeah.
And they said that this is why collectors have to complete their collection.
Exactly.
I took that and I said, oh my God, if that makes sense, then I need to have, and I started to just get into marketing and selling online products right at that point. So I said, I need to have a part 1 and then a part 2. This is when I was selling music related digital products. And it just, no one would come in and just have a buy part 2 and not buy part 1 and part 3. Or no one would buy part 1 and then not get 2 and 3. As a matter of fact, back when I lived in Connecticut, there was this company that sold like the thumbnails. I forget the name of it. And they were so brilliant at it that not only would they sell the collectible thumbnails, but with the very first one that they gave you, they would give you a shelf where all 36 thumbnails in this collection could fit in. So no one's going to have a shelf on their wall with a thumbnail. You have to complete the collection.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's why Netflix is popular, or any TV series, right? Because once you start that series, you've got to finish it. You've got to know how it ends.
Got to know. Yep, that's it.
It's true. And it's the same, you know, in home, isn't it? If you've got you're renovating your kitchen and you stop halfway, the stress that will cause and the inconvenience. But it's a bit like that in business, because often what I find in publishing is people stop focusing so much on the main things, and they go off and try all these different things before they're ready, instead of actually, you know, spending long enough, not too long, you've got to measure this, on, you know, the proper researching, the proper studying the modules, and going back and doing them again, and then taking the action, and then going back and refining. And they can often, and I've done this often, then just go off and do different things sort of before it's necessary to do those things. And I guess that's a lot of what we were talking about as well, wasn't it, in the Stop, Start, Continue session that we did together and on the stage at the live event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's finding what's working and doubling down on what's working, and then simplifying everything else, right? So that you can really focus on what's important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What does that process look like for you, Andrea? Like, how do you go in and you say, okay, well, look, I know that I'm human and there's some things that I'm going to dabble in, but how do you get to a point where you say, listen, I need to stop this and let me focus on the things that are the main thing so that I can keep the main thing. Yeah.
So I don't know if I shared this story with you. I think I may have, but I'm not really sure. So when I started KCF in March of 2020, I actually had a coaching business that I was running at the time, where I would help people tell their stories. And I worked with businesses. I also worked with individual speakers that needed to tell a personal story as part of their presentation. And I was doing that when I started KCF, and I really wanted to learn this business. And so I said, you know what? I am going to drop I'm going to finish up with the coaching clients I have going, but I'm not going to take any new clients. Okay. So for the first 3 or 4 months that I was studying this program, I was kind of finishing up with some clients I already had going. And I told Sue White, I said, hey, I'm going to stop coaching for a while because I really want to learn this business. I love the model. I understand what Ty's doing with it, and I really want to learn the business. And so she's like, oh, okay. And I said, and I know it sounds crazy because I don't have any money coming in without my coaching clients, but I really want to learn this business.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So that's what I did, Ty. I finished up with those clients, and then I just didn't take any. I got people calling, hey, can you work with me on this? And I'm like, right now I'm doing something different. But I'll hang on to your information. If I get back to it, I'll let you know. And so I took a step off the ledge because I'm like, I'm going to learn this business and I'm going to do this thing. And it's going to be kind of scary because I'm not going to have any income for a while.
Yeah.
But I was willing to do that. And so when I jumped in 100%. And I'm like, I'm going to learn this business. And it was all new. So for me, now some people that come into this may already have a publishing background. It may be a lot easier because they kind of already know a lot of the tools and the processes, but I didn't know anything. And so I dedicated every day. Ty, I did tell you this. I dedicated every day from 8 a.m. in the morning. I would start my work day and I would work till any time in the evening that I had to work. Wow. To make sure that I was, moving things forward. And for the first year, I worked every single weekend, learning this business, doing what needed to get done, building out my team. I do not work every single weekend now. I don't work every evening now, but I was willing to do that to get where I needed to be with my business.
And you took mentorship as well, didn't you?
I did. I took the mentorship. Rodney was my coach. So, doing the coaching calls with Rodney, and really he kind of helped direct me on, hey, these are the things that are going to help you the most. Focus on these things. And so that kind of helped me drop some things to the side. Caroline, I shared with you, I didn't do any social media the first year because I'm like, all I care about right now is creating quality content.
We had a session as well, didn't we? The end of your mentorship sessions, and you've dipped into several different people. And that was the other thing, that you sort of sought help as well. And just, and that's all about belief, isn't it? You went in, you took the risk to not get some money coming in for a while. Sort of, obviously that's going to be something that's going to be personal to everyone, because people, we need reserves, don't we?
Exactly.
That wasn't going to be something I could have done. I had to keep the job going until I built the business up. But if you can do it, happy days, great. And then you had the belief that that's okay, because actually, you can always go back to that, but you had the belief that this was going to work out, but you needed the time to focus, and you didn't want to work 24 hours a day through the night on top of your coaching clients to focus. So again, that quality of life that we mentioned at the beginning, and the self-care is always at the top for you, isn't it?
It really is, because the way I look at it, it's kind of like, when you're on a plane and they tell you, hey, if anything happens and the oxygen mask drops, you got to put it on yourself first, and then you can help the people around you. I have to take good care of myself, or how am I going to help the people around me, right?
I so believe that.
I mean, I get up every morning. I have a Caroline knows because we laugh about it, but I have a very regimented thing I do in the morning to get some exercise in, to get some meditation in, because I have to be in the right frame of mind to really give my best to the people around me every day. And I don't mess with it. It's really about it's about helping me give my best to other people. I need that time in the morning. So Ty, getting up at 4:30, if that's your thing, cherish it. Cherish it, because it's what allows you to give your best self to the people around you.
I so believe that.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm glad you shared that, because I think, look, you also start to be in alignment with who you truly are, right? There's these things that energize you and that just make you feel good. I talked about mornings are my thing.
Yeah.
And I switched it. It used to be late nights, right? 2-3 o'clock in the morning, which I still enjoy because the house is quiet. But and once the springtime hits, I kind of transform. And now it's morning times. So if I can get out, it's warm, the birds are singing. Oh my God, I don't even know what to do it myself. Sometimes I'm going for a walk, sometimes I'm going for a drive in a car, but I just have to get out of the house in the morning. And you know what your time is when it feels good to you.
Yeah.
Right? My wife, nighttime is for her. So she'll be up till 2:30 sometimes. That's her time. Right. So just as she's going to bed, I'm just waking up a few hours later. So,
Yeah.
you know what? So Andrea, you talked about like going all in, and you talked about like you had this coaching business and you said, you know what, that's it. I'm going to study this new model here.
Yeah.
I have to drop this. I'm actually listening to a book right now by Dan Sullivan, one of my favorite authors, and he talks about that as well. He talks about the 80-20. And the title of the book, I'm going to share this with you guys before I continue to explain it. So this is it. It's 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan, brand new. 10x is easier than 2x. So in this, he talks about recognizing where you get the best results from, like where you get the best results from, and doubling down on those things to get the ultimate level of better results. Because we're all doing these, there's like 100%, and then we have the 20% that give us the best feeling, that give us the best results, that make us the most money, that make us the happiest. But then we also feel like we're committed to this other 80% that's driving us nuts. It could be 80% of the people that we don't like. It could be doing things that we don't like. It could be 80% of the clients that are really a little bit more needier. And then recognizing when you should drop that 80%, similar to how you had dropped your coaching business, but for different reasons. And then when you do that, you're now able to live in alignment, and you start to see much better results because you're focusing on the things that you truly enjoy, the people that you truly enjoy, the habits and activities that you truly enjoy. And then you can continue to do that. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared this on the KCF live event. I can't remember, but like 3 C's. So I've got the 3 C's that really keep me focused and headed in the right direction. And the first C is creating quality content, right? So the first part of my business, as I was learning the modules, as I was studying the program, going through each one of the modules and learning, I was like, okay, first thing I need to focus on, creating quality content that's evergreen. I want it to sell 30 years from now as good as it sells today. I don't want to write anything trendy. I want it to be evergreen quality content that will sell decades from now. So that was my focus. The next thing I really focused on was my second C, which is quality connections, right? Connections with my team. So this was me building out the team that I wanted to work with. And I love my team. I have a great team. But quality connections with my team, and also quality connections with my readers. So really, I focused a lot, invested a lot of my time in building that relationship with my readers, asking them what things they liked, really getting to know them, and making changes along the way based on the feedback they gave me. So quality connections. And the third C is what I'm really focused on right now, which is quality campaigns. So now I'm really starting to really focus more on my marketing. And the thing about the marketing is it can be a little overwhelming if you try to do too much in the beginning, right? So pick one channel, whether it's Facebook ads, whatever you excel at, right? You can test it. I started out with Facebook ads. I'm now getting into Amazon ads, and I'm getting ready to start learning about Google ads. But I started with one thing first, right? I didn't try to do all 3. I started with Facebook ads. I wanted to get good at Facebook ads. And I'm like, when I master Facebook ads, then I can move over to something else. This is how I keep myself in check so that I'm not all over the place, right? So quality campaigns, those are the 3 C's. I'm like, if I just focus on quality content, quality connections, and quality campaigns, there is no way that this business can be anything other than successful. And so that's kind of how I
down somewhere.
Huh?
Do you have it written down? Do you have it on a wall? Do you have it on a whiteboard? Do you have it on a notepad? Do you have it, or is it just internalized?
No, I have it all. All of this is written down, and it kind of keeps me focused. I have a whiteboard, but my camera doesn't face the direction of the rest of my office. But I write my goals down. This year I told Caroline one of the things I'm focused on is more consistent publishing. So I've got a new series out. I now have 3 series out and a 4th one coming in July. So I am getting more consistent with getting books out.
4 C's.
Yeah.
Consistent.
So it's, but those C's are what kind of keep me focused. It's like quality content, quality connections, quality campaigns.
Yeah.
Where do I want to take it? I mean, that's
and you know what you said about the Facebook ads? That's crucial what you said there. because Facebook ads are the main thing. I'll tell you that in publishing. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but I found with children's books, it was more Amazon ads, but Facebook ads is the main thing, which is why.
Well, and I'll tell you what I've learned just real quick. I'll share a little key learning. What I've learned, because I'm doing both now, the Facebook and Amazon ads.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Facebook ads are a must for a launch, because what I've noticed with Facebook ads is you can really drive a lot of traffic very quickly with Facebook ads.
Yes.
Where I find Amazon ads beat out Facebook ads is longevity. So my Amazon ads have been running for 2 years.
Yeah.
Those campaigns are still running. So longevity, where Facebook ad, you can't necessarily run just, nonstop. You can't really just keep
fatigue.
It'll fatigue after a while, is what I've learned. But with Amazon ads, man, I just keep every at the end of every month, I just say renew that campaign. And those campaigns have been running in the background. So for longevity, and they're cheaper, right? I don't pay near what I paid for the Amazon ads as I do for the Facebook ads.
Amazon ads, with Amazon, they'll only spend your money.
Yeah,
they won't spend it. If you put it on that, they'll spend it accordingly, so they won't spend your money for the sake of it.
Yeah, exactly. So the Amazon ads are running in the background just to keep the older books, coming up. So I do both now.
That's right.
But in the beginning, I only did Facebook ads. I'm like, I'm not going to touch anything until I learn Facebook ads. So, you have to just really take things one at a time, or it can feel a little bit overwhelming.
Yes. And I did the same. I did Facebook ads well into the business, about a year after I was doing well, So because you can only do so much. And so we're talking quality content. Can I make it the 4 C's?
You can.
Oh, we could do 5. Quality content, quality connections. So I'm taking this to Kindle, and so things like all your swaps, your author networking, you're hardcore on this.
Yes, I am.
All the success that I'm having with the other stuff that I'm doing with the publishing business is through connections. That's it. More than talent. Connections and networking. Quality campaigns, Facebook ads being the priority until you master those, and consistency is key.
Consistency, absolutely.
Because no one wants to open a shop with 5. So we've got a cookie shop for Thai, sugar-free cookies with stevia. Stevia, do you say in the US? Stevia, we say over here. So you've got, quality cookie shop, but you've only got 5 flavors. And they're selling like crazy. You can't even keep up. So you may as well just put in 30 flavors. It's just obvious, isn't it? So it's a bit like that with books. If I can make a couple of grand on a few series, okay, rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, love it. The 4 C's.
Look, you're 3 C's, right? And this, you have to, you guys have to pick what works for you, because the 3 C's works for Andrea, and this thing is beautiful. There's got to be something you might have the 5 Q's, or you might have the 2 A's or whatever it might be, right? But content, connection, campaign, that whenever you get off track, I'm not in alignment with these 3, right? I need this is your roadmap. For me, it's content, it's call to action, and then it's close, right? Very similar, right? Years ago, I said to myself, when I was heavy in the affiliate game, I said, look, this is insane. I'm working with people that I don't like to work with, who are promoting products that I don't think are the best products. So I just sat down one day and I said, look, I'm going to switch my life to a point where I only want to work when I want to work, number one. And because I'm a workaholic, that was kind of tough, but I had to really find my zones of comfort, my zones of flow, whether that was night or morning, and then really dig into that. So work when I want to work, only work with people that I want to work with. So people that were in alignment with what I want to put out there, and then work on the things that I want to work on. So the content that I want to work on. So whatever it is that works for you guys, figure out your strategy and then use that as your roadmap. It's got to be unique to almost everyone. Or you can borrow something from someone like Andrea, right? She's got it figured out. You can go in, you can say, hey, this makes sense. Content, connections, campaign. Or you can go and you can say, hey, content, call to action, close. Business is typically that simple. Content meaning you have to have a way to be visible, make your product, your service visible. You then have to have this call to action. Hey, you wouldn't want to buy any of this, would you? And then when they say yes, you close them on it.
Yeah.
Right. So it keeps you in alignment. It gives you this roadmap. So I love the 3 C's that you have there.
That's great for avoiding overwhelm when you start the business, or overwhelm in any stage of the business, even when you're established, so that you think, okay, I'm getting all stressed about, you know, the fact that I'm not doing BookBub ads yet, and maybe I've heard that they're meant to be really good, or Google ad or whatever. Hold on a minute. What's the priority? Whiteboard, quality content. Now, obviously, that means everything. That means the cover, 5 C's. You know what I mean? And it means everything.
It does give you kind of a filter to take everything through, right? It's like every time something comes into your mind, it's like you go back to that and it's like, is it one of these 3 things? No, then I'm not doing it. You know, so it does kind of give you that filter to help you stay focused, to help you, you know, double down on what's working and not get distracted with shiny objects. Because
does it fall into one of these buckets or does it not? Right.
Exactly. And if it doesn't, park it for now, or get someone else to do it if you've got a budget.
You know what? I want a sign on my wall that says "Park it for now." You know,
park it for now. Yeah, it's true. I like that. I'm writing that down.
Hey, let me share. Can I share the other quote that I wanted to share?
Yeah.
So, because I mean, I think it's in alignment with what we're talking about. But the quote is, "Overcoming procrastination is not about cramming additional work into your day. Overcoming procrastination is about simplifying your life to make space for the activities that matter the most." And that's by Richie Norton. He's a health and wellness author that I like to follow. But I just think that's a great quote, because sometimes we think, you know, that we're procrastinating because we're trying to shove more things into our workday, but it's the exact opposite. It's about simplifying everything and making space for what's important.
Yeah.
And it's also, look, listening to yourself. We procrastinate sometimes because we don't want to do things that we know are not going to get us results.
Yeah.
Like deep down inside, we know, look, I'm doing busy work and this stuff is really not going to get me results. It hasn't get me results for the last 6 months that I've been doing it. So I'm still doing this stuff and it's insane. Or we're procrastinating because it's just, again, not in alignment with us. It's like, like you wouldn't go out and walk your dogs every morning to start. Well, the dogs have to go out. Maybe this is not because the dogs do have to go out, right?
They do.
But I'm sure that you probably, there's double benefit to that too. The dogs benefit, right? They get to relieve themselves, but then you also get out first thing in the morning, you're in nature and it's beautiful. But that would probably be a pain in the butt for you more times than not if you didn't enjoy it.
Correct. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it, but you're right. If I did not enjoy that, it would be something that I dread instead of something that I look forward to.
Dogs wouldn't go out to 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I'm speaking from experience. When we got our first dog, my daughters wanted this damn dog. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to walk this dog. You guys have a pink leash on it. You got a pink bow on it. It's a poodle. I'm not walking this dog. You're not taking away from my manhood here. And I'm just joking there, of course, right?
Oh my God.
Look, the first 2 weeks, they walked the dog faithfully, 7, 8 o'clock. And then it got later in the day, later and later. And that's because they didn't enjoy it. And I'm just using dog walking as an example. It could be anything. Look, you guys, if you might hesitate, you might think that you're an author and a writer. And if you're putting this off until the very last moment, then you probably don't really enjoy it. You may need to hire a ghostwriter. Sometimes you'll think, okay, well, it's because I'm busy at this, I'm busy at this, I'm busy at this, and I don't have time to do this. But I'm sure Andrea or Caroline, you all have heard the saying, if you want something done, you give it to the busiest person that you know, and they'll find a way to get it done, right?
It's true. And I love that conversation about procrastination, because it's so often we beat ourselves up for procrastinating. And actually, sometimes it's the right thing to do because we're just not lined up with what we're doing. And the reason why we're procrastinating is because we might not need to do it, or we don't want to do it. And then you need to look at, can I outsource that? Does that need to be done? And often it doesn't. Or can I outsource that? But sometimes it's just your gut intuition saying, I'm putting something off and procrastinating because it doesn't value, there's no value to me. So procrastination could be a good thing sometimes because it's your guidance system telling you. I remember this in my previous business, so many things I was procrastinating over. It's because the business was wrong for me. Yeah. And so I got out of it and moved away from it. It was the right thing. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so that was my guidance system saying, you're not enjoying it. Why are you doing something that you're not enjoying anymore when there's so many other options over there? So, procrastination is a good thing sometimes, not always a bad thing. We always think of it as being a bad thing. Oh, procrastinating, thief of,
It is a really good thing. Look, that's how I got into outsourcing, to be honest with you, because of procrastinating. Like, I always share the story of how when I first started in business, I really did not enjoy responding to customer emails or prospect emails or responding to support tickets. And as a result, I would get all of these negative reviews. It was just, I would rather just go get a tooth pulled than to sit here for an hour and answer emails. So finally I said, look, I have to find someone who enjoys this, because there's actually people who enjoy what you don't like doing. Like, there's people that actually enjoy it. And then for them to get paid on top of that. So that became a benefit. Not only do our support tickets get answered much quicker, because now we've got Sherry, we've got Michelle, we've got Peter. They actually enjoy it and they're great at it. Benefits the customers, benefits you guys, benefits me, right? So there's a benefit in your procrastinating, as Caroline said. You just have to recognize what those things are that you're procrastinating on, and then say, okay, well, who here or who out there loves doing this stuff and who's much better at it than I am, right? So it's always a benefit to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Ty, I've got to go because I've got a dentist appointment. Can I leave you to?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting a teeth treatment. I'm getting fillings. So
did I just remind you when I said get a tooth?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I just realized I've got a 2:15, so I've got to get in the car. I'm so sorry to leave you guys. Andrea,
no worries. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. I'm going to go up and then I'll come back on and have a look at the recording later because I want to see the end.
Awesome. And Andrea, we're at the top of the hour, so I've got about 2 or 3 more questions for you, and then we'll just wrap it up because I want to be conscious of your time as well. I'm glad I said, look, there's benefit to everything, guys. I just said I'd rather get a tooth pulled than answer customer support tickets, and I had no idea that Caroline had this appointment, right? So there's benefit to everything. So for you, I want to talk about you had it took nerve to say I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing with my coaching business. I want to kind of revisit that because this wasn't something that you had just been entertaining doing, meaning your coaching business. You actually had clients that were there.
Yeah.
So I imagine you had to tell clients that at some period we're going to stop. And you also probably had new people that wanted to become a client, and you had to say, we're no longer accepting anyone.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
There you go. So how did you get to a point where you had the nerve to do that? Because I think it's hard when we want to make a decision like that on our own. But then I would imagine that you also shared with other people that, look, I'm going to close down my coaching business. Did you or did you not? Because
I did. And my mom was really nervous because, it was during the pandemic. She's like, what do you mean you're closing down your coaching? What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I'm starting this, KCF program. I'm going to be publishing books. She goes, do you even know how to do that? And I'm like, well, no, Mom, that's why I'm in the program. I'm in the program to learn it. So yeah, I got a lot of, kind of worry, pushback. Are you crazy? But I just felt literally in my heart that that's what I wanted to do. And so there's a saying that when your convictions are clear, your decisions are easy. And so I didn't feel torn about it. I felt very centered about the decision. So even though people thought I was losing my mind, it didn't feel like I was losing my mind to myself. Like I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. So when your convictions are clear, your decisions are easy. And I just knew that because I did not have a publishing background, I had published one book prior to joining the program.
Okay.
So I knew for me, that it was going to be a really steep learning curve. And it may not be for other people. Other people may come into this with a lot more background experience in publishing, but I didn't have any of that. So for me, I knew I was really going to have to dedicate myself and commit myself to learning.
Yeah, I think that, look, in Dan Sullivan's book, right, 10x is easier than 2x. One of the things that he mentions is that oftentimes we'll want things or we'll need things. You really didn't need this. Like it didn't have to be like an absolute need. It was a want. And he says that more people kind of shy away from their wants because they're afraid of what people will say. Like more people will say, look, I don't want to go in and start this Kindle business because they're afraid of having to tell their relatives because of what the relatives will say. For me, for example, me wanting to quit Walgreens, didn't need to quit it because I was loved there, liked the job, didn't have any issues. Do you know what the biggest fear for me was? What other people would say? Right? What would my mom say? What would my dad say? What would people that I didn't even know say? What would my peers say? Right? I actually had to start, like, what would they say after I left? Like, they're talking behind my back, like, oh my God, Ty's nuts. And he came up and so that fear of us not doing something because of what other people will think oftentimes can be stronger than what we think and what we want. So how did you overcome that part?
So how did I overcome being afraid of what people would think?
Right, or that approval of people.
Well, I think, I don't think that was ever really an issue for me, Ty. I think my biggest fear, because I was going back and I was like, what was I most afraid of? And I think I was most afraid and most fearful that I couldn't learn it because I didn't know any of it. So like I said, everything, I had to learn the marketing, I had to learn all the tools, I had to learn how to create content. Really, the only thing I came into this business with was the knowledge of how to tell a great story. So, but I thought to myself, well, and that may have been why I knew that I was going to have to really get into the business and like be willing to fully commit myself, because I was afraid, what if I can't learn it?
Gotcha. Okay. So
that was my big fear. I didn't really care what people thought about what I was doing, because I mean, if you look at all the things I've done in my career,
that is true.
I've done a lot of different things, and I never really looked for people to validate what I'm. But I was afraid, what if I can't learn it? What if I'm not smart enough to learn how to do this? That was probably my biggest fear.
That is, that's a beautiful way of looking at things, right? Because again, most people are stuck because they are afraid of what people are going to think. They're afraid of what family members are going to think. Heck, people are even afraid of what customers and clients and potential customers and clients are going to think, right? Which I think that there's a balance. You should have a level of fear so that you just don't throw crap out there, right?
Right.
But that fear of starting is one of those things that people kind of get stuck in the most. So for someone that's watching this at the end of this thing, what's one big tip that you would give to anyone that may have not started yet, and whether it's the Fast Pass, whether it's a program that they're looking at on their own, whether it's, man, them just morphing into the next version of themselves? Because you've mastered this. Like, you've done theater, you've worked at Walmart, right, in the marketing department, you've done 2 full-length feature films. So you've morphed into the next version of yourself. What would that thing be there?
I think the one thing I would say, if this is something that you really want, I obviously really wanted it. I wanted it, and I was willing to do what I needed to do to make it happen. So if this is something you really want and you feel this calling inside of you to do it, the one thing I would say is just start. Don't worry about it being perfect. I'll give you an example, Ty. My second series I put out there, and I actually paid a lot of money to have custom illustrated covers for my second series.
Gotcha.
And I was so proud of these covers. I was like, these are the best covers I'm putting out. I launched the series and it didn't do good, even though it was a continuation of my first series. So all the same characters, and people loved the characters. They loved the first series. And I was like, well, why is my second series not doing well? So I started asking my art team, I'm like, hey, why is this not doing well? And they're like, it's a better story, but the covers are not right. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so the covers aren't right. And they're like, mm-mm. And I was like, okay, but I left it out there. I'm like, you know what? I launched the series. I'll go back when I have time and I'll fix the covers. And I have. I've actually relaunched the series with new covers. It's doing much better, even though I'm not as crazy about the covers,
Right.
but they're fitting for the genre and it's doing better.
And
So
the market likes them, right? The market is
the
always
market loves them, and that's all that really matters. And so I have learned to pull my own emotion out of this business. Sometimes I may put something out there that I don't necessarily like. If the market likes it and this is what they're looking for, that's what matters. So just start. Don't worry about, oh, it's not perfect, I can't put it out there. Because that really was something that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
I wanted everything to be perfect. And now I'm just like, no, I'm putting it out there and I can correct, if I need to make a correction, I can. So just, get started, take that first step. Don't worry about it being perfect. You can always go back. You can always go back and correct or fix anything you need to fix.
Yeah, and I think that's where your second C comes into place, right? The connection. So you had your team you could go back to and you could say, hey, listen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think the biggest mistake that we can make is, and I learned this early on with a product that I had put together. I spent $20,000 almost putting this product together. I spent like 8 months of my life putting this thing together, and I sold 2 copies of it. And the biggest lesson that I got out of that is I am not my market, and I'm not like, the market will tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they want in terms of the title of your book, in your case, the cover, the storyline, and you have to get good at listening to the market. And that only happens once you get started, as you said, right?
Yeah.
You only get a chance to listen to the market once you put something out there, you get started, and then you start to get feedback.
Yeah.
But that takes pushing that button and actually moving forward with it. So
absolutely.
Andrea, this has been beautiful.
I thank you. I love coming on here with you and Caroline. So really appreciate the invite. And
absolutely. I will take the 3 C's, guys: the content, the connection, the campaigns, right? And see how, if that doesn't work for you, how can you create your own roadmap? Because this is Andrea's roadmap here. Like, this is her roadmap. As I said, my roadmap was only working when I want to work, right? And then how do I fit things into that? Only working with people that I enjoyed working with, that were in alignment with me, and then only working on the things that brought me joy as well. So you have to find your own roadmap. Andrea, we greatly appreciate you. We'll have you back again. You are like a repeat offender on the Monday Morning Meetup show. So
I know.
I love it. And I think you're like one of our most favorite guests that comes back over and over and over again. I know at least I always get joy out of you.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to start my day here. So with that said, have a good day.
Awesome.
Stay well. All right, guys. So remember, this Saturday, myself and Nora Hashemeth will be having the Power of Accountability event. It takes place. I know a few people had questions as to when it takes place. So it's 2 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. So this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, that's 11 a.m. Pacific. You can register by going to tycohen.com/accountability. I just gave you guys the link. Let me know once you've registered. I think this is going to be a great event, especially if you're someone that's dealing with like procrastination or imposter syndrome, or, I mean, there's so many different things, right? Lack of belief. Maybe it's lack of self-belief. Maybe it's lack of belief where other people just don't believe in you. If you suffer from needing like an accountability partner, if you're not clear on what it is that you should do. I know this is big for a lot of people, like not being clear as to what their strengths are, not being clear as to what their weaknesses are. And oftentimes we know what our weaknesses are more than we actually know what our strengths are. So if someone comes, you guys ask me, hey, what's one of your weaknesses, Ty? I can instantly tell you, and you guys probably know by now, that it's pies, right? It used to be the donuts. I haven't had a donut in like well over a year and a half or so, right? But when you say, what are the strengths that you excel at, most people have a hard time like even answering that. So we're going to help you with that. We're also going to help you get clear on your vision. We're going to help you to overcome procrastination. We're going to help you to get unstuck. And this is a 100% free event. We will probably go for about 90 minutes, so it'll be a little bit longer than the MMM calls. And again, you can go in, you can register at tycohen.com/accountability. I just put the link in there again. And with that said, for those of you that have registered, we'll see you on Saturday. It's this Saturday. For those of you that will not register, we'll see you on Monday. Stay well. Stay blessed. And let us know in the Facebook group what's been your biggest takeaway from Andrea. You guys see her in the Facebook group all the time, so make sure that you go in, tag her, tag myself, tag Caroline as well, as I'm sure she'll enjoy knowing that she was able to come in and provide some value to you guys. We'll see you. See you on Monday. See you on Saturday. For those of you who have registered.